Hello, this is Debbie, and this is Light Up Your Worth. I am so excited to be here and to bring you this week's guest, Sarah Stewart. Sarah is an artist, an entrepreneur, a photographer, and storyteller with a passion for fostering connection, creativity, and community. As the founder of Polykindred, Sarah blends her love for art and collaboration with a dedication to creating spaces where people can explore their creativity, embrace their authentic selves, and build resilient, meaningful communities. Living an unconventional life, Sarah navigates polyamory, respectful parenting, and entrepreneurship with grace and intention. As a mother and advocate, she promotes autonomy and mutual respect in her parenting style, creating a nurturing and empowered environment for her children. Her personal journey with polyamory has also allowed her to dispel myths, sharing the joys and challenges of multi-partner relationships, and advocate for love and kindness in all forms. Through Polykindred, Sarah is creating a thriving arts and consulting collective that brings together artists, educators, and consultants to collaborate on creative projects and workshops. Whether it's leading art workshops, designing jewelry, or capturing the magic of nature through photography, Sarah's creative endeavors reflect her belief that art is for everyone. She strives to make the arts accessible, offering low-barrier workshops, subscriptions, and collaborations with local businesses. I am so excited to have you here, Sarah. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is a first for the Light Up Your Worth podcast, right? I have a lot of creatives come on but I've never had anybody with your exact background. And I find it perfect as I was really wanting somebody to come on to really talk about the power of community and how it is healthy for us. And I know when we were talking about how collaboration is
Yes.
more needed since the COVID years.
Absolutely. Community is far more important than people realize. Life is about connections, not just with people, but with nature, the past, with some people, with a higher power, with ourselves even. And that's all so important. And you're able to build those connections and strengthen them even more through community, while getting support we don't necessarily always have in our day-to-day lives. There are so many responsibilities on us, and we lighten that load by living in community while also having emotional support.
Mm-hmm. What benefits have you discovered in living with community? How has it helped you flourish in your own personal journey?
For us, it's interesting because we live in a house with 11 people.
Mhm.
So that has been its own journey. But I think community has always been important to me. I was always the person in my friend group who was organizing events for everyone. And that was really important to me at the time and still is now. A lot of those people from my teen years are still some of my best friends now, people that we still visit every time we go to Nova Scotia. I still talk to my first boyfriend from when I was 13 almost every day. He's one of my best friends. Those community connections I worked hard to build are
Mhm.
still so strong in my life now.
Mhm.
And that's very important to me. And now take that all the way to now where we live in a house with 11 people. My children have a community of resources. My leg is in a splint, so I can't drive. And that has not disrupted our lives really in any major way because we have community members to fall back on who fill in the gaps when someone else is down. It happens to all of us. There are
Mhm.
always moments where we can't exactly achieve to the level we would like to. We're able to step in and fill in those gaps for each other.
Oh, that's a perfect example. Life just continues on,
It
even
does.
though you have thing, and I think everybody's experienced that where there's a life event and you really aren't necessarily giving as much as you can
Yeah.
or would naturally, and you're having to receive more and be supported.
And though we have those cycles, everybody does, but most of the time you have no choice but to just keep trudging on or to have things fall apart. If
Mm-hmm.
you have community to lean on, then you have a scaffolding to keep holding things up, which is really great. And in between those teen years and now, community was always important. We homeschooled our kids. That was a huge community effort. We say homeschooling, that's a misnomer. We didn't really spend a whole heck of a lot of time at home, but I also organized activities, workshops, events, outings, field trips, classes for thousands of families. We had a huge community built up within the homeschooling realm. And that was incredibly important to me and my children during that time. A lot of those people, even though the older girls are in school now, a lot of those people are still our friends and part of our larger community.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see how that would be really important. Now, have you always been drawn to living in community? And did you just naturally create it around you?
I've always surrounded myself with people, with good people that I vibe with, that I could do cool stuff with. And I think as I got older and realized that I think a lot of people live inside the misery box that we're told we have to live in
Mm-hmm.
and spend a lot of their lives not realizing that box is not locked. Heck, it doesn't even have a cover. You can step out anytime and do whatever you want outside of the box, but you're not told that. You have to figure it out for yourself. My life consists of finding things that bring me joy, that make me happy, that I think will do good for the world, and just following those as they come and saying yes to a lot of opportunities that present themselves. And when I see something that I think I might want to do, then I create opportunities for that to happen. And again, being surrounded by community makes that far more possible than if I was all on my own.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I know when I stepped into launching this podcast in February 2021, I was coming out of this spiritual closet. I was all woo and metaphysical and intuitive. And I just thought I would give all this feedback and just be overwhelmed. And I was afraid of what others might think. And you know what happened?
Everyone
Nothing.
was super supportive.
Yeah, everybody's, oh, yeah, we
Love
already
it.
knew that about you. Okay. And so then you just are, it's like it gives you permission to step further into yourself,
Yes.
especially if you're surrounded by the right people who get you and your community that you can create.
And the beautiful thing that I've seen as I've gone along, I live my life as it makes me happy while doing as little harm as I can. Kindness is at the core of everything we do. I'd expect to live my life, and no one should have a problem with that. If they do, they will come
Mhm.
talk to me and we'll have a great conversation one way or the other. But I've really loved watching how other people see me doing that and realize that it's a possibility for them too. And
Mm.
I've watched people's lives transform like it's magic into something they love, which is always delightful to see.
Isn't it? When people step into who they authentically are, they just go from that surviving to the thriving, as I like to call it. They really step into their own worth, and it shows in everything we do. Now,
Absolutely.
have you always been creative? You've created all these opportunities for you and creativity in different communities as well. Tell me how that has blossomed.
Oh goodness, that's always been a part of my life. My earliest memories are my mother singing to me. I think as a baby, I heard music probably nonstop. So music was always in my life. My dad played instruments as well, so I picked that up too. I started playing violin in grade 4 and learned every instrument in the school band through high school. I was always in bands, choirs, orchestras, and creating art as often as I could and writing poems and in school plays. The arts have always been a huge part of my life. And then as we started to homeschool, that was also a big part of our life then too. So
Mhm.
music was a huge part of our homeschooling. We were always weaving art into everything for the kids who found that interesting. And we snowballed that into the children as well. They started acting as well. Lily is the eldest. And when she was 4 years old, we were watching a poorly made kids movie and she said, "Oh, is this real?" I said, "Oh no, they're acting." She said, "What do you mean they're acting?" So I explained it like, we play Hansel and Gretel and I'm the witch and you guys are Hansel and Gretel, but they film it. And she took that in for a moment and went, "Wait a minute, Mummy. does that mean I could be in movies? I want to be in movies. How do I be in movies? So I told her about having an agent and doing auditions and that sort of thing. And I just left it at that because I knew how much work children in acting is for me. So I wasn't going to go down that road unless it was something she was very interested in. And then she brought it up every week for a year until we finally took her to an agency. So all of the kids have been professional actors in film and television from the time they were very little. Lyndon, the 4-year-old, just booked his first commercial for Rona, the building supply store. Every moment of our life is creativity. Our dining room right now is an art studio. We have one whole room of our house that's just for music. I don't think there's ever a moment in this home where there's not music happening somewhere. So
Mhm. Oh,
so it's a natural part of me that's always been there, something that's always brought me joy in the darkest moments of my life and in the brightest moments of my life. I think are the times when I've written songs. It
mhm.
brings us some peace in those moments where things feel chaotic.
It's
Mm.
that expression, your soul's expression being
Yeah.
realized. When I became a mom, you didn't know your heart could be outside your body.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I feel like art is that same way with that expression. You're just putting it out there, no matter what medium you're using, whether it's the instruments, it's songwriting, it's other art forms.
And that connecting that I like to talk about all the time, that's
Hmm.
one more way to do that. And art is such a beautiful way to connect people. Music is a universal connector. It needs no language to connect people and make people feel the same emotions no matter what language they speak, which is a magical thing.
Hmm.
The same for visual art, right? You can connect through dance, visual art, music across barriers you can't in other ways.
Exactly. I probably have a listener who's probably on the fence, right? Maybe they've been thinking, I'm not a creative. How many times have you heard that? And people who are like in the corporate America realm, and maybe they've wandered into the spiritual realm and are learning a healing modality. It starts opening minds to what art really is about, that
Mhm.
expression. How would you guide somebody who's thinking that they're not creative, but are curious, right? Like,
I am of the firm belief that art is for everyone. And we actually run workshops based on that premise, very low barrier art workshops that get people just creating something for the sake of creating. I think we make the mistake far too much in our society of trying to monetize everything. It's great to be able to make a living from art, and it's lovely that people can do that. It's not the only reason to make art. And it's probably, in some ways, the least of the reasons to make art. Everybody should be dancing, singing, and creating art. You don't have to be good at it. That actually doesn't matter. The
Mhm.
creating is still therapeutic, is still going to bring you some joy. And even if you're not good at it and you want to be, guess how you get better at things? By doing more of it. So in
Right?
any case, it's still a good thing for you to be doing. But I really do think that everyone has creativity within them. It's part of our human landscape. That's part of what makes us, where it's often stifled very early. And so we have to bring that back in ourselves, remember how to play, have fun. Art can be a part of that.
Yes, there are studies about the benefits of
Mhm.
how the arts can take people out of a really, maybe they're depressed or they're
Mhm.
anxious. And there is a lot of that happening in our global world right now. There's a lot of uncertainty.
Mhm.
And I think there's always been uncertainty, but I think maybe it goes in peaks and valleys. And right now, there's a lot of it where you talk to a lot of people who are struggling and may really be searching for something. And I think art is a perfect way. I think that's why they have art therapy, right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
They have this therapy that helps you go through. Where's a good place if somebody doesn't know what they're going to be drawn to when you have your workshops? Where do you generally start with people, especially if we're more seasoned in life, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't want
So,
to sit down necessarily with the kindergartners and finger paint,
mhm.
but maybe.
Honestly, what we do is we start with collage because
Mhm.
it's so low barrier, so easy to execute, but also allows for unlimited creativity. So my partner Josh and I do this even ourselves. As a start to every Tuesday, we have our immovable art time. And a lot of that ends up being collage. We'll sit and cut things out of magazines, or we have like old cards, old papers, old wrapping paper. Literally anything you can imagine has shown up in a collage for us. It's great for people who don't know what to do for art, because sometimes we'll lead with a prompt of, okay, so we're going to all make something that elicits the feeling of joy. What makes you happy? Or
Mm.
something even more specific where we're going nature based. We're doing birds today, and then allow for like free form. I think sometimes the having the prompt gets people out of their head, and so they're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I don't really have to come up with an idea myself.
Mhm.
And then from there, they'll start creating all on their own.
Oh, the prompts, so powerful. Is that something that you're offering in your subscription? The prompts to help people get
Yes,
started?
so that is coming down the line, actually. We're going to have a whole art journal where you can draw, you can collage, you can do whatever, but it'll be a series of prompts that we've really enjoyed that anyone can use.
Oh, that's so powerful. Because I know I've ventured into acrylic paint. I'm not painting anything specific. It started long ago with my son when he had a school project, like an elementary school, of
Mhm.
painting the creating the universal with all the planets.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh,
we
yes.
painted those little white balls. It was so therapeutic, just painting it one color. And I have found that sometimes I can just get a canvas and I'm literally with a purposely smaller paintbrush with acrylic, which is what, like $2 here in the States. And
Love
that's
it.
painting. I'll paint over it once it dries, another color, or start another. And I have found it very peaceful.
Yes, just the process itself can be so meditative. Collaging, just cutting things out of magazines, is peaceful. There's value in that.
There is. I love that. In fact, I've done the collages probably more because of a vision board, right? But
Yep.
I've never really heard of, oh, let's go focus on birds, like you mentioned.
Mhm.
It is a wonderful idea. Connecting it to nature
Yeah.
makes me want to do one on trees because I'm a huge tree lover. And
Do it. Absolutely. Go make a tree collage.
what's funny is over the years when I've moved, I've always had two totes of magazines
Oh,
because of the
really?
vision boarding, right?
Oh,
Vision board
love that.
workshops that I would
Yep.
facilitate.
I
And
do that too. Yep.
And then they're finally all used nothing more that you can really cut out of some of these magazines. But I've had people go, "What are you doing moving all these magazines?" And I'm like, "You don't understand. I use
Yes,
those, or other
yes.
people use them, collect them."
We go to our local thrift store. They get far more books than they need. So the books are always free. They get excited when we come in because they go, Tuesday Art Day, because we take away a bunch of their books.
Yeah, that's a very resourceful idea.
I honestly, I love using repurposed things for art.
Mm.
We create a lot of waste as a society already. And so if I can still make cool things, cutting down on that, then that's great. So even our canvases, a lot of the time, we'll watch for old canvases at thrift stores, or if someone's giving away something on Marketplace, any surface we can collage on. We got mirrors and ceramic tiles, we'll collage those. Anything can be art.
Oh, I love that. Those are great ideas for people to think about. They're on a budget and they're trying to figure out, and repurposing is so important.
Yes, and that's the beauty of the collaging too, is you can have not a penny to your name and still make art. You don't technically you don't even need glue. You can make glue out of flour if you really want to. Like there are so many ways to create art, and not all of them have to be costly. And again, the purpose is not to make something that can hang in a gallery. It's just to create because that's something our souls need.
Yes. And like the art, when we're in a community where we feel supported and seen authentically, it decreases depression.
Yes, absolutely. Honestly, I can't there have been some dark things in my life over the years, and I can't even imagine where I would be without the community support network I'd built up around me. Like, even I was saying, I have all of these friends still from when I was a young teenager.
Mhm.
And a couple of years ago, I had a dark period because of something that had happened. And usually I'm really good at extracting the good from something and re-regulating pretty quickly. But I was having a really hard time like clawing myself out of the darkness with this one. We were visiting Nova Scotia, where I'm from, and we were going to the beach with my family. And I thought, I'm going to invite Andrew because I won't have a chance to see him any other time that I'm here. He brought another friend from that period in time. And while I wasn't feeling the best and I was participating with the kids and the family at the level that I could, it was so healing for me to watch these two people who I've been so close with for decades. Like they were some of the most important in my life, playing with my kids 20 years later. That's magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful to have those moments and to have community to pull me out of darkness when it's needed.
Yeah. Now, I know women who don't have a lot of community. And how would you suggest, or do you have suggestions for women to be able to find communities?
It is hard these days, right? Because it's not like you can just go out to the playground and say, "Hey, I'm Sarah. Want to be my friend?" I still do that.
Yeah,
Strangers make friends, but
yeah.
it's difficult to suggest if you don't know where to start. Figure out what you enjoy. You don't have to figure that out. Try a bunch of things, and you're going to find your people that way. Just don't
Hmm.
be afraid to be vulnerable, to be open, to have deep conversations with people. That's how we connect. I know vulnerability is more a good thing than bad. It's not as scary as it seems to be open to
Hmm.
other people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can sense when somebody's not being authentic, whether they realize it or not,
Hmm.
give out that vibe. And it makes it challenging to connect.
A lot of parents lose themselves in family, which is great. Remember to fill your cup too. You can't
Hmm.
not keep living your life at the same time because they're going to be gone in 18 years. And then what do you have, right? You don't want to rebuild everything from scratch. Find ways to integrate my children. They come places with me, they do things. We have a life together and
Hmm.
we're part of the same communities. That's a possibility. If that's your focus, and that's fantastic, find community for your family. It doesn't have to be just you.
Hmm. I've moved a lot within the United States. I know you don't live in the States. What are my interests? What would I like to learn? Photography. I can find a community center or college, maybe online, even,
Oh, yeah.
but on something that I'm interested in learning, to go meet somebody, something that's already there. Because you
Absolutely.
have something in common, even though, like right now, everybody's making sourdough in my age group. If you went to rock concerts in the 80s, now you're making sourdough and you're having a garden. And
Which is great. I really think that's one of the most fascinating things that's come out of COVID. We have people baking and growing gardens again. That's fantastic. More
right.
of that. Yes. And it's like the young people too, which
Hmm.
I wouldn't have anticipated, but I like it.
It's a positive thing that have come
Hmm.
out when people are realizing, like, to cultivate or to have hobbies. I know it's challenging when you're a parent in the parenting years to find time to have a hobby,
Hmm.
especially a creative hobby, because you might need space or financial stuff. So I love that you've given us tools or ways of how you can go about actually bringing it in without being the cost being the factor.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the creativity is very important for adults. Many have forgotten how to bring that out, but it's
Mhm.
also important to have your kids see you being creative, right? That's how we don't stifle that in children. Let's be creative together. I might make something that sucks, and so might you, and that's okay. Let's create together. Garbage. We make art out of pipe cleaners. We had old glow sticks Lyndon made a giant sculpture with. You can make art with anything. It's always fun and exciting.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not as visually appealing as something you might think of as art, but you know what? You're still creating, and that's
Mhm.
important.
When my son was growing up, I did a lot of scrapbooking. I was
Mm.
really into the scrapbooking, heavy duty, and had my niece and my son and my friends. We'd get together for a couple hours, do some of it. We even had a weekend next to the ocean. It was just spectacular. And it was all really about the community, and it was around a shared focus.
Yep.
And it was really so powerful. My son can still remember he wasn't supposed to go on this girls' weekend, by the way. He got in trouble at school. He was in middle school. He got in trouble, and then I needed to bring him with me, right?
Oh my
And
gosh.
so everybody's okay, there's no children, but we understand. So his role was to actually, with scrapbooking, was to empty the little garbage cans because there's so
Yes.
many little scraps of paper, and to keep everything tidy and to help. Oh, can you go get this? That was his job. And he was proud of it. He had a focus,
Oh,
but he was in trouble, right? So he was
yeah.
working. And yet he got to experience all of the community, and it's still something that we talk about that really benefited him. In looking at it now, it benefited him to be part of that,
Yeah.
and give him a chance to have all these other moms, my close friends, drill
Yes.
him about
Love
why
that.
he
Oh
got
my
in
gosh.
trouble.
Oh, that's glorious. It's a cool experience. You got to be a studio assistant essentially for the weekend.
Yeah,
That's fun.
yeah,
Love
he
that.
did. He really did, and has talked about it a lot over the years. I'm curious, how do you bring in your art with your entrepreneurship?
So I have found being artistic to be very helpful in my entrepreneurial journey. I've always been of an entrepreneurial mindset. Even as a child, my
Mhm.
my mother and I would make jewelry and Christmas ornaments and sell them at markets and stuff. So I was doing that when I was under 10. That's always been part of my entrepreneurial journey. But even in things that don't necessarily have to do with art, I think they do because everything I have a hand in business wise, I'm creating graphics for, I'm creating logos for, I'm designing websites. That is all art too, whether you think about it or not. Like all of that
Mhm.
graphic design, you need to have an artistic mind to be able to do that well. So it does weave itself into the entrepreneurship well, but then I also have had my primary business for years has been my photography business, an arts-based business that has snowballed into Polykindred, the arts collective, which allows us to do a whole bunch of interesting projects and allows us in community to support other artists' initiatives.
There's so many things in entrepreneurship that you need to be more creative in so many ways. So I've loved that blend.
I think coming up with a launch plan or a marketing plan, I do feel for me like that's an art in and of itself, right? You
Mhm.
need to exercise those creativity muscles to be able to do that in a way that is dynamic and interesting.
Mhm. Your choice of words can really make a difference on whether somebody's even interested in it.
Absolutely.
Marketing is definitely creative.
And I find I'm still like doing this for decades, and I find I'm still coming up with new strategies and learning new things and weaving new skills that I had from other things into the new things. And
Mm.
it's just an ever evolving process.
This has been really great, sharing and learning about the community and art. I want to change subjects now and ask you two questions I love to ask my guests. I'm a big believer in music and
Mhm.
how it can lift your soul, change your energy, connect to yourself. I'm curious, what's a song that really uplifts you?
I have playlists tailored for everything. But when I need uplifting, for some reason, there's one song that I really like that I came across just by mistake called The Lotto, I think it is. Ingrid Michaelson. And it's just so upbeat. And it is talking about how the people in your life and the love in your life is more important than money, which is what most people are chasing, which
Mhm,
resonates with me. Singing with my kids brings me joy, right? Music
mhm.
is a big thing here. So we have a whole entire repertoire of there's four-part harmony all the time. That really brings me joy.
Room.
Yeah, pretty much. We
Mhm.
have dozens of instruments here, ukuleles, guitars, a big piano, and always impromptu jam sessions.
Love that. The second question that I always want to know is, in this season of your life, when you reflect back to your younger self, with what you know now, what would you tell yourself about your worth?
I think it's important for the young people to remember that your worth is not at all defined by what anyone else thinks of you. So you need to find what fuels you, what you're passionate about, what makes you happy and brings you joy, and what will help you contribute to the world in a positive way. And do those things. Focus on what feels right for you. Don't let the people around you or society tell you the path that you have to be on. That does not determine your worth. You do not have to follow that pre-prescribed remedy of what everyone should be doing. You can create your own path, and that has just as much worth as if you've done what is expected of you. So I think the key message that any young person should be hearing is that your worth is determined by what's in here, not what's out there. So make sure that you are actively introspective, that you're learning and growing all of the time, and that you understand that what you think and feel is what really is going to matter in the long run. Make sure you're considering the people around you, live your life with kindness in mind, love as much as you can, but remember that what's outside is not what's important in terms of your value.
Yes, you just want to shout that the tops of the mountain, right? Why is it a struggle for us to own our value and understand our worth?
I have theories.
Oh, you do.
Society feeds us some stories that we end up listening to for a very long time until we start to unravel that narrative ourselves, right? We're taught a certain way of being, and it's hard to extract yourself from that if you're not self-aware.
That's what this podcast is about, owning your worth and stepping into who you are. It's not easy. We've all have subconscious programming, no matter whether you had the perfect childhood or you had one full of trauma and discord. And that's why I'm such a component of the healing arts, the spiritual modalities that we highlight, all the coaches, therapists, authors, and creatives, is because there is something there. There's a reason we all need community and to be able to support each other. And you constantly are mentioning kindness. Can underplay the power of kindness to each other.
Oh, yes. It is. I know we're wrapping up here, but it's the core of everything. And I make a point of it, and anyone who's watching, I make a point of it to anyone who reaches out to me, I will answer. It might take a while because I get a lot of messages, but often people just need kindness in their life. And I couldn't tell you the number of times that people have come to me and told me how that saved them in one way or the other. Just being kind, literally just having a friendly conversation with someone, just the tiniest things, literally just speaking to someone and being kind should be our baseline as humans. That can make such a huge difference for someone, which maybe is actually a show of how messed up our society might be, but it's also magical and beautiful. Kindness wherever you can. If anyone wants to reach out about homeschooling, connect, create, or just say hello, feel free to come find me on Facebook, Sarah Jean Stewart, and reach out, and I'll always find a way to answer, even though it might take me a bit.
Yeah, I love that. In fact, that was my next prompt, is how can people reach out to you, Sarah? What are your other ways?
Awesome. I do a lot of things, but the easiest way to get to me is to find me on Facebook, Sarah Jean Stewart. I'm a digital creator on Facebook, so you can follow me there, and I post my entire life there. You'll know way more about me than you need to. So you can find Polykindred Market on Facebook and polykindredmarket.com. We blog a lot about everyone in our little horde blogs a lot about what we do in our life and how it all connects. So it's interesting to read stories and learn about us.
Thank you, Sarah, for joining my community with Light Up Your Word and to share a part of yourself and the gifts that you bring out to the world. Thank you.
So lovely to be here.
Thank you.